you're definitely a conservative.
For sure.
But you're not necessarily a party line conservative.
No, I'm not.
You break from the GOP on a lot of things. And to me, that just points to actual human thought, which I appreciate. I appreciate that from everybody, like regardless of political.
Yeah, critical thinking is like of the utmost importance in today's day and age.
So my biggest concern long term is I can't believe we've been at war for almost 20 years and no one's raising the red flag and no one's demanding that we have a goal. No one has painted a picture of what winning looks like.
Yeah, there's no end state.
And we're just perpetually at war. And, you know, when I was 23, 24, and everything kicked off, like, yeah, like it's like, you know, like these are the bad guys. But now I have an 18-year-old in an ROTC program right now, and I'm going, like, do I trust these people to make good decisions about his life? No, I don't.
I get it. I don't. I'm with you.
And I am, you know, and it's easy to blame any one person. Like, you know, like, should Bush have moved us into Iraq? That's a stellar question, right? Mm-hmm. You know, most historians, most people analyzing it now are saying probably not. Other people are saying, well, you know, Iraq has all these positive things that have occurred, and over time this is going to be better. So maybe he was right, maybe he wasn't. But then we go, okay, so now then Afghanistan is just kind of floating in the background. And during the Obama administration, he was going to get us out of Afghanistan. That didn't happen. Now here we are with Trump. We're still in Afghanistan. Are we going to go into Syria? Are we going to go into Iran? Like, there's all these questions out there. And I feel like, me personally, I blame Congress. Congress abdicated their responsibility to declare war a long time ago. And I expect Congress to be making these decisions and saying yes, no, whatever. But it's easier for them, because they have become more and more cowardly over time, to just let the president do whatever he wants. And the result is,
yes,
we are just at war.
Well, no, that's exactly right. It's sort of the same argument that Congress uses, both Republicans and Democrats, on like mandatory spending programs. It's easier not to make a decision. Right?
Yeah, they don't want to get burned.
Yeah, it's easier to just let the system fail and then say, you know what, we're going to pick up the pieces and we're going to fix this. But to take a position takes courage, and that's why Congress ultimately abdicates their position, because it's politically expedient for them. You know, so this is why, you know, and I am not I have to say I do like President Trump. I don't like everything he says, right? But I do like that he creates a dynamic in DC that forces us to discuss these things. Like, you know, he takes a position. I mean, he does say he wants us out of Afghanistan. And what never ceases to amaze me is that both Republicans and Democrats...
But shouldn't, like, if he really wants us out of Afghanistan, and I called, like, Obama on this, I call everybody.
Sure,
like,
oh yeah, right. You're the fairest dude ever, man. Dude, you really are, you really are.
If you want us out of Afghanistan, then pull us out of Afghanistan.
I think that's what the president wants.
Let me switch gears. Do you think Afghanistan is winnable?
No. I mean, but I would say, like, what does that even mean? Like, what does winning look like? And so, I think that the president, you know, they're trying to broker a peace with the Taliban, you know.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy. I think the core of that peace is like, okay, you can govern and into you can be a legitimate part of this government as long as you keep Al-Qaeda and foreign fighters out. Because I think that's ultimately, why did we go into Afghanistan in the first place? To find Osama bin Laden and to keep that country from going back to being a petri dish for terrorists. So,
but I don't even think Americans can fathom what Afghanistan is, because
no, they can't. I mean, Afghans can't. How can Americans?
If you've never traveled, if you've never lived other places, you think of everything as like kind of like America.
It's so true.
And
It's so
Afghanistan
true.
is essentially, it's a bunch of tribes. Like, there's no country.
They don't even realize that they live in a country called Afghanistan.
Yeah, like, it's not a country.
I know. I agree.
And
I mean, what you're trying, I mean, I feel like there's not going to be an end state to the war in Afghanistan where they establish a Jeffersonian democracy.
No.
That is not happening.
no, and
Right.
the other thing, too, is like, it has taken us 250 years to get where we are now, and everyone is still bitching about it.
I know.
Like, everyone is still like, there's not enough
People
freedom.
complain about it every
There's
day.
not enough freedom here. There's too much freedom here. Like,
I
we're
know.
still complaining about it, and we've got it as good as it gets right now anyway.
It's true.
Right?
It's so true.
And you're going to take a place where,
The most lawless country on the face of the planet.
yeah, you know, like, I mean, it's the Wild West, but like the Wild West wasn't the Wild West. Afghanistan is the Wild West in the way that, like, we think
So
of the
true.
Wild West, and we're gonna.
In a culture that's steeped in kicking out powers greater than them.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
You know?
They're great in, like, their strength as a nation is enduring.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, the Americans have the watches, but we have the time.
we've been there 20 years, and like, fuck all has happened.
Nothing. I mean, that's what kills me about this, is that every year the commander in Afghanistan comes out with a report that looks like it was plagiarized from the year before. It looks like they took the commanding general from Afghanistan the year prior and cut and pasted it into a Word document. Then he walks up to a podium and he reads the same thing.
all right, so
and
I'm
it's
gonna-
I totally agree with you. Like,
I'm going to put you in a ridiculous situation because I think you can handle it.
yeah, do it. I got
Tomorrow, Sean Parnell is president.
it. Okay, all right. I like that.
I'm not
I like
even.
that.
I'm not even going to drag you into domestic stuff yet, but just foreign policy. What are we doing?
Okay, so first thing that I do is define an end state to Afghanistan, right? The first thing that I do is I say, okay, the initial goal for going into Afghanistan was to kill bin Laden. We've done that to keep the country from going back to a petri dish for terrorists. So my strategy would be this. I would close down 85% of the forward operating bases in Afghanistan, and I'd probably put 3 or 4 infantry battalions there for base protection. I put 3 special forces teams there to work with indigenous populations to help them train. And then I have the best of the best, like SEALs, Delta Force guys.
SEALs?
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, right. Well,
They're having a hard time.
They are having a hard time, but just direct action strikes,
Yeah.
just to keep the enemy on their toes. And I have UAVs everywhere, right? Bottom line is, whether or not I think that's a winning strategy, or at least a place where we can
with the goal of what?
with the goal of drawing down, right, and letting the Afghan government do what they want to do. I mean, the bottom line is whatever that is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're spending far too much time and energy in Afghanistan dumping money into their government and hoping that they do the right thing,
Which they won't.
And then what happens is that whoever's elected, like, gives $10 million to his brother who's running a poppy field in Helmand. I mean, that's what's happening. And so we can't do that anymore. And so so that's what I would do with Afghanistan. But with regards to foreign policy is the first thing that I would do.
How about Iran?
Oh, Iran's a complicated question, but I sure as hell would not make a nuclear deal with them, and put us in the precarious position that the Obama administration did. Because the bottom line is that that's what the premise of the book is, okay, so there's a nuclear deal with Iran. What does 5 years from now look like? And ultimately they violate the deal. And so that's what they've done.
Of course they
So yeah, you can't.
Of course they do.
So to me, during the Green Revolution in Iran, like, if Obama was smart, he would have deposed the leadership, the religious draconian leadership in Iran. I don't like swapping leaders, right? Like, I don't like regime change, right? I do think
Obama
that
was an optimist. He thought he was. I personally believe that he was acting in good faith, thinking that they would act in good faith because they sat in front of him and said, "This is what we're going to do."
But he had an opportunity in 2009 to overthrow the government of Iran and preempt all of these problems. And so,
but if you're I'm playing devil's advocate here.
of course.
We did that in Iraq. We did
did.
that in Afghanistan. And
I think that
we fucked it up.
No, I think the difference is, and so I think that looking back, hindsight's 2020, like, should we have gone into Iraq? I'm not sure. I think the answer to your initial question coming into this conversation is, should we or should we not have been there? I think that there's room to say that there was a massive intelligence mistake. Like, I think that all of our intelligence, the British intelligence,
Do you think it was
global intelligence, thought that Saddam had a weapon of mass destruction. We acted on faulty intelligence,
Was
and
it
I think there's space for
intelligence,
that.
or was it how we, so I've read a few books about this particular topic. I'm not an expert, I'm not going to pretend to be, but it seems like there was a lot of pressure for the intelligence community to come up with a reason to go to Iraq.
I mean, that's what the book, I feel like at the time,
McNamara's book definitely.
Yeah, I feel like at the time, I'm just trying to give grace. I'd like to
that's
think.
fair, that's fair.
I'd like to think that, like you said, Obama. I agree with you, by the way. Obama was trying to do the best he could with the facts that he had, right?
Yeah.
I think that George W. Bush was trying to do the same thing.
We all have
hindsight.
We all have holes in our.
Hindsight being 2020, maybe we probably should have, from a tactical standpoint, don't go to war on two fronts, right? So we were already engaged in Afghanistan. That was not the time to go into Iraq if we were going to go in there. I mean, I think that
So Iran now. What do we do?
So
Like they're seizing ships. They're being dicks. What do we do? They're doing.
So I think what I would have done what Trump did. I would have withdrawn us from the Iranian nuclear deal, and I would do it as president everything in my power to prevent them from exploiting nuclear energy to develop a bomb.
I am 100%.
And they cannot have a bomb.
Iran cannot have nukes, even if we have to.
I mean, look, if we're going to assert that an average Islamic extremist is willing to strap a bomb to themselves and blow themselves up in a church, how can we not then, from a logical and reasonable standpoint, say that Iran would do the same thing with a nuclear bomb in Israel?
If Iran gets nukes,
They're going to use
Israel is getting
exactly.
whacked from the
So I
face.
think we have to take a heavy-handed approach with Iran. I mean, this is the problem with President Obama's stance in 2009, while I do give him grace, as you do, I do think he had a tactical opportunity to displace the regime in Iran. And here's why I say it's different than Iraq. In 2009, we were the main power brokers in Iraq, right? Had we seized upon the Green Revolution and leveraged the CIA to displace the regime in Iran, Iraq would have been the main power base in the Middle East, along with Israel. Right now, Iran, after we pulled out of Iraq, Iran is the main power broker in the Middle East. There's no question about it. Had we allowed them to be deposed in 2009, after we were the main power brokers in Iraq in 2008 and 2009, the Middle East might look differently than it does now. And I'm not saying that God, man, I don't know what right looks like here, but I think that we absolutely, there is no negotiating with Iran. And on the opposite end of those negotiations, feeling like you got a square deal. This is not going to happen.